Hi, and welcome to Ger class. I am your host, Rabbi David Katz. All right, we are in a bit of a transition until we get into our new location. God willing, it'll be ready soon. And we have a lot of Ger material built up that we haven't covered yet. A lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. It's the current model of refinement of Ger. I think you'll be happy with it. And I think you'll be glad to see how strong it is. I know I'm glad to see how strong it is. There's a lot to be said. But I think for the sake of giving a focused class, instead of just one-off, I saw this here, I saw that there. What got me, I would say the one that hit me the most in class form is a work called Shari Halacha Uminhag, Gates of Halacha and Customs, type 1. And it looks like it is a likut. A likut is a gathered set of works, but I'm not a Lubavitch, so I don't know if it's a likut. But apparently it is the psak halacha of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Does that interest you? Interest me. They say that the Rebbe didn't write that much, but because he had people write for him. And so in Lubavitch circles, I don't know if he wrote this or if it was gathered. But if it was gathered, it doesn't make it any less authoritative. It's got his name and seal and brand on there. So the question that he's answering is as follows. You ready? You guys curious to hear what he was bringing out? And the reason why this is also good is because as we're seeing, Ger is just one big sugya. And the naysayers out there will say, no, it's not. You're making it up. There's no such thing as Ger till Jubilee. Ger is convert. Go away. And what they don't realize is Ger is one sugya. And all these different printouts that I printed out of the 50,000 books on Otzer Chochmah, they're all talking about the same stuff. And I finally was able to find, I think, the root source. Let's say there's 25 solid Ger sources. I think the number one potent Ger source is Rambam, Hilchos Malachim, chapter 8, halachas 10 and 11. Because there it mentions Ger Toshav, and I guess, before I say the answer, in fact, I'll tell you the wrong answer. Right? Type 1 if you want to hear the wrong answer. Our good friends at Ask Noah and the Pirchei Shoshanim Noahide laws written by our dear friend, Rabbi Chad Blumenstiel, writes very clearly, and I will be doing a retort to their shear on Ger Toshav when I'm ready to compile all this, which we're very close. And aside from getting many facts wrong and making radical decisions that are also wrong and misquoting sources and bending sources to achieve their agenda, which I've checked out all this, it's not pleasant. The nafkamina out of all of this, the deciding factor, we call it a chakira, the thing where they go one way and I go another way, is it all comes down to one phrase in the entire Torah. And that is in the Rambam's Hilchos Malachim 8, 10, and 11. He mentions a Ger Toshav. which I will quote for you now as the Rebbe quotes it. And that Ger Toshav, we don't know what that means. The Rambam doesn't tell us. But apparently he's connected or associated with, in some way, the Hasid Umus Olam, the Chasid Umus Olam. To which, if it's not a Ger Toshav Jubilee, then the short phraseology that we're using is Ger Hasid, Ger Chassid. But if it is Jubilee, then for some reason the Rambam is talking about slave ger and Hasidim, non-Jews, and together for some reason. And why is a good question. Doesn't make sense. So the burning question is, what does Ger Toshav mean when the Rambam uses it here? They want to say it means Jubilee. And therefore, it's not applicable till Jubilee. There's no Ger Toshav. There's no Ger Toshav Kabbalah. But you can be a pious of the nations. Keep in mind that nobody says that. That is a made-up shita. Nobody says that. And one of the issues, and there's many issues, that they wrestle over at Ask Noah, is when the Rishonim, or the Chazal, use the term Ger Toshav, are they implying a type of conversion, Ger Giur, but it would be a partial conversion? And then Chad Blumenstiel goes in, yes, and no, and yes. And they decide, wrongly, that it's not a conversion. And I'm not saying it is a conversion. I'm saying it's not even relevant to the discussion. Not really. It is a little bit, but it's not going to be the answer. And they therefore view it as totally irrelevant, insignificant. They edit it out of all texts and publications, and they call the Chassid the Noahide, and the Noahide doesn't have to reject shituf. He can effectively believe in Jesus as long as he affirms that Moses wrote the Torah and commanded through God to be a Noahide. And they are on the level of being commanded and does, and they have an Olam Haba. Now, there's a little bit of truth in there, but there's a lot of not truth in there. And they go that way by breaking a lot of rules, bending backwards pretty impressively, making things up, and rejecting the truth. And I will be doing a counter to that entire shir. In fact, to that entire shita. The other alternative in learning this is that Ger Toshav is not the same Ger Toshav as Jubilee, and thereby it would be applicable today. But that begs the question, what then is this Ger Toshav to the Rambam? Why does the Rambam have to write Ger Toshav? Wouldn't it have been easier to just not write Ger Toshav? Maybe call it Ger Chassid, call it Bob, whatever you want to call it, righteous, non-Jew. But when you call it Ger Toshav, you're setting yourself up for disaster, because the other side will then say, Jubilee Ger Toshav, and there's no Jubilee today in the halachas like the Rambam. And then it creates balagan. Are you with me, one or two? Don't be bashful. Don't tell stories. One or two, are you with me? Let's go. Got a one. Waiting on our friends. We got a one. And let's go. So in my search to find what does Ger Toshav mean according to this particular Rambam, because we know what it means where the Rambam says, blah, 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 Ger Toshav, blah, 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 and there's no Ger Toshav till Jubilee. We don't have to guess on that, do we? Type no. Type 2, type no, whatever you need to type. We don't need to guess on that. Where the Rambam says no till Jubilee, we know what that means. It means there's no Ger Toshav till Jubilee. But the rabbis will point out that in this particular Rambam, it does not mention the Jubilee, which leads the scholars and academics to think that it's a different kind of Ger Toshav than the Jubilee. And then it boils down to who learns the sugya right and who learns the sugya wrong. Now, we're not getting into religious dogma of right and wrong. Sometimes there just is a right and wrong. If I see you guys in the chat room, is it right or wrong to say, hey, my good friends, the good lowlifes are here. How y'all doing? Can I ever justify that as a right statement to say to you? One or two. No, I cannot justify an insult and say, hey, but that's just how I communicate. So in the world outside of religious dogma, there is an objective right and wrong. Can we agree on that? Sometimes in life, there just really is a true right and wrong. It's not subjective. It is objective. Doesn't need argued. We don't need to prove our point. Some things are just right, and some things are just wrong. And even though I have my opinions about people that are anti this message, that doesn't give me the right to think that I'm right and use an ad hominem attack simply because I feel like it. You have to get into absolute emes, objective truth and reality, right and wrong. Again, we're not talking moral or ethical right and wrong. We're talking about provable right and wrong. In Torah, there is something called the right way to learn the sugya, and there's something called the wrong way to learn the sugya. Now, you may have more than one right, and you may have more than one wrong. Jacques, good buddy. Jacques, do you work? Do you have a profession? One or two. Jacques, hello. Jacques, are you with us? Jacques, if I went with you on the job, would you be able to ascertain, to discern if I was doing a good job, or let's say the right job versus the job gone wrong? Would you be able to definitively tell me if I did the job wrong? And you would say, Rabbi Katz, I'm sorry, you are wrong. Or you could say, Rabbi Katz, wow, that was right. So you said yes. And you're not being religiously dogmatic with me either. Sometimes there just is a right and a wrong, a right way and a wrong way. In learning Torah, particularly the oral Torah, which is what this entire discussion is about, because the written Torah said ger about 100 times. And the oral Torah said a lot of things, a lot of times. And we want to know what is the ger in the written Torah, because we are led to believe, through whatever reasons necessary, that there is a righteous Gentile, a righteous non-Jew, whatever you want to call this person, in the written Torah. And we, the true believers, believe that he keeps the 7 laws of Noah, and that is not a static label, lefi pshuto, as in a textual reality. We think that he is dynamic, He can advance beyond 7. He can have different relationship levels with God. That's all contained in the written. And the oral Torah contains the wisdom to understand better the written Torah and the wisdom of it and how it works as a guide to life. Can I get a confirmation at this point of a 1 or a 2 negative? And we have 1s. All right, 1s. So now, I am proposing that there is a right way to learn the Ger Toshav Sugya. And I am also proposing that Ger Toshav is a Sugya. It's a known Sugya. One that has been learned exactly the same way by several rabbis in every generation. From the Rishonim, all your friends, the Rambam, Rashi, Rosh, Rif, Ramban, Balaturim, Tosfos, all of our friends talk about the Ger. And you know how do I know that they all are talking about the same sugya in the same way? Does anyone know how I know? Any takers? Besides the fact that I learned it, but how do I really know? To the point where I would say that I'm right, and if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. That's a bold statement, pretty religiously fanatic. But how do I know, without any doubt? Any takers? They use the same code. You looked it up. Well, I did look it up, and they do use the same code. They use the same code, same words, same context, same usage, same sources, same application. They quote each other to the point of it's absurd. What do you call that in Latin? Ad absurdum, right? You have to be blind or absolutely be determined to go with falsehood in order to not get that. But you also need to be determined to look up each source every time that it comes up until you know it, and you'll never know it, which means you got to look it up every time. Why won't you know it? Because it's so big, I don't think you're a superhuman computer. And every time you get an insight, it changes the way you view every source. Because the meaning is enhanced and gone deeper. With that said, it is very simple. And by the way, that same story goes on through the Achronim, through the Shulchan Aruch, Vilna Gaon, all your friends. Chafetz Chaim, Meir Kahana, Soloveitchik, Brisker Rav, Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rebbe Nachman. You want it in halacha, it's in halacha. You want it in makshava, it's in makshava. Rav Hutner. It's everywhere. Chassidus, Kabbalah. And when you are confronted with what I call, this is just what I call it, Ger Torah, you can identify it every single time. Because it's the same code, same jargon, and it sticks out. For example, when Rav Meir Kahana speaks about Ger Toshav, he goes right into the Ritva Makos 9a. Do you know how many sources quote Ritva Makos 9a? Figure every single Ger source on the planet. Maybe with the exception of the Lubavitcher Rebbe here, but that's beside the point. Meaning not everybody brings every single thing all the time. Because one of the laws that we've learned is there's always a piece missing from any particular source. But if you do all the sources, you will collect all the pieces. Nobody can speak about every single aspect every single time. For example, the Rebbe might not be speaking about the Eved Kanani, but somebody else might not be speaking about the Shabbos Goy, and much like that. But whatever is brought, these rabbis are not saying anything from their own in terms of the language. Just like I am speaking to you in a familiar language. I'm not speaking gibberish in a language called David Katzism, and then you would have to learn my language to know what I'm talking about. What they do is they copy and paste. Therefore, there's no thought that goes into it. Just like you, when you speak, you copy and paste, and you don't think into what you're saying. If I say, hey, Jacques, how's it going? And you say, oh, Rabbi Katz, it's a long day. Well, Jacques, did you measure it? Is it in fact a long day? Why is it not a short day? And the answer is because you didn't think before you said that. You copied and pasted it. And I know what you meant. Because then I responded, yes, Jacques, it certainly is a long day. And I didn't think about what I said. I just copied and pasted back. And I'm sure if we really wanted to analyze why is it called a long day, we would call Justin Becker and say, Justin, should we look up a new Iker term on the computer? What does it mean, a long day? Where does it come from? Justin, type 1. And then Justin would join the conversation, and we would all talk about what does it mean, a long day? Because we can all relate, because we all copy and paste the same way. And we would look up a mutually agreed upon website, probably Merriam-Webster, because everyone knows that Merriam-Webster is also copy and pasting from the best sources, and it's an agreed upon system which will give you a right and a wrong. When we figure out what a long day means, we will all agree because we did it the right way. Type 1. No one will argue because we will bring all opinions that matter from the copy and paste world, and we will weigh them until we arrive at a super conscious position. And that's what Torah, the oral Torah, is. It is a constant super conscious position. If you are not a part of the super conscious position, that means you're not in the sugya. It means you didn't look it up. And if you're giving your opinions after having not looked it up, that's called guessing. That's called making it up by yourself. We don't want that. That's what I'm calling the enemy. I'm not trying to make enemies, but if you're going to guess, I'm already telling you, you're going to guess wrong. And when you guess wrong, people will listen. When they listen, they're going to repeat your bad guesswork. Then you create doubts. Then you create division. Then you create an argument and a machlokus. And there's more than one opinion. And then if you speak against that opinion, it's lashon hara against the rabbi. We don't want that. And the rabbis involved in the oral Torah didn't get involved in that. They all spoke the same things. They all copied and pasted the same thing. So here is the Lubavitcher Rebbe's version of copying and pasting and discussing through those vessels the Rambam's Hilchos Malachim, chapter 8, 10, and 11, answering the question about a Ben Noach who is fulfilling the 7 mitzvahs. Ben Noach Kiyum Hazayin Mitzvahs. Did the Rebbe make up that title? Anybody? What do you think about that? Ben Noach Kiyum Hazayin Mitzvahs. Or is that an Iker concept? Is he bringing us an Iker? How did I know to print this, even despite the fact that it was the Rebbe? Because I saw he's giving the sugya. That's a copy-paste. Ksav HaRambam B'Pereches Mehilchos Malachim Halacha Yud. Moshe Rabbeinu did not give the Torah and the mitzvahs except to Israel. As it says, Moshe Kohelis Yankiv Ulakula Reitzi Lihis Gayer Mishar HaOimis Sheneamar Kachem Kager. Aval mi shelo Reitzein Koifin Oso Lekabel Torah U Mitzvahs. V'chein siva Moshe Rabbeinu mipi hagvoire lechof. Know that word, to press. Es kol boyei ha'olam lekabel mitzvahs shenitztavu b'nei noyach v'kol mi shalog yakabel yehoyrek. V'hamikabel oisem hu hanikra ger toshav b'kol makom. Tzorich lekabel alav bifnei shloishe chaverim. Is there anybody that did not understand that? And I'm actually asking that because I think I've said this Mishnah so many times. I actually think you might know it. One or two. Do I need to translate this, or are you with me? One or two. One, you're with me. Two, read it in English. On glee. We got some ones. Jacques, one or two. Come on. There you go. Hine pashtis loshin harambam mayra asher achiyu lechoif. The Rambam is dealing with this obligation. Lechof. I got to give you an example of what lechof means. When I say press type 1 or 2, and you don't do it, and I say, let's go, press 1, that's called lechof. Press 1, if you understand what I'm doing when I encourage you strongly to press 1 like now. Press 1. Let's go. Press 1. Let's go. Press 1, everybody, let's go. So there, I successfully did lechof. Type 1, again, if you chop what it means to lechof. On anything. It's called lechof. Eina ach v'rak medine ger toshav. Ela dehu tzivai b'fnei atzmai shel kfiyas al hazayin mitzvahs. So there's something called lechof, the non-Jews, to become ger toshav. Type 1. But here, the Rambam is saying that the ikar really is to lechof, that you should take on 7 mitzvahs. That implies ger toshav is something a little bit more than 7 mitzvahs. When I say more, we're talking about it's more involved. Aval lo nemar shum chiyuv lechof kol b'nei noyach sheyeh ger toshav. You don't have to lechof all the sons of Noach to be ger toshav. Shahari lo kasav harambam denitztavenu lechof lekabel mitzvahs vayiyu gerim toshavim. Ki eina tzorich ve'amakabel oisem. Or no, rather, ki'im. Sorry about that. Ki'im ve'amakabel oisem hu nikra ger toshav. Klaimar misha achem mekabel ha-mitzvahs hu bifnei beistin hu hanikra b'kol makom ger toshav. Aval etzim hachiyuv of kfiyah. He's saying that the main thing, the ikar, is this obligation of kfiyah. It's like saying you didn't come to class to learn, you came to class to type 1. Type 1. So you didn't come to be ger toshav. You came to be. We're not pressing you in ger toshav. I'm not interested in having you as a slave or any kind of worker or whatever other kind of forceful Indian you want me to do. There is another kind of forcing called, hey, you, take on the 7 laws because God loves you. We should make that a bumper sticker. right? Take on the 7 laws because God loves you. And therefore the Jewish people are commanded to spread the love around and encourage people to press 1. Take on the 7 mitzvahs, so to speak. And this kfiyah that requires Kabbalah is not contingent to the laws of Ger Toshav, which means it doesn't belong to Ger Toshav. It means that Ger Toshav never enters the fray. So when they say you can't take Kabbalah and be Ger Toshav, not till Jubilee. That's a different Ger Toshav. That's the proper Ger Toshav. Therefore, Jubilee cannot enter the discussion. V'chein ari v'kol makom she'izker Rambam oides Ger Toshav ma'avidim v'kavin Ger Toshav ela b'zman she'yovel noyed v'kan hashmite v'hainu mishum dahocha lo kai b'dini Ger Toshav ki achiv l'choif einu shayich l'geirus. This is not a conversion, not even a partial conversion. Ger Toshav, we're going to say, is a partial conversion. Elisha Rambam neked b'derech agav de'hamekabel hazayin mitzvahs hu nikra b'kol makom Ger Toshav. Aval ein ze chelik me'etzem halacha dekaiba. It means that Ger Toshav Yovel has nothing to do with this. It just means that he's called Ger Toshav. And the reason why he's called Ger Toshav is because we can borrow one aspect of the halachic Ger Toshav. A halachic Ger Toshav, wherever he is in his fictional universe, would have to accept 7 laws with Kabbalah in order to live in Israel. Type 1. And we have to force him. When we have providence on the land, we say, well, you come here to live, then we will make you give up idolatry. Now, if a righteous non-Jew happens to cross paths with me, and I say, hey, you're walking in front of me, type 1. And he says, I don't know what 1 means. And I say, stop what you're doing and take on the 7 right now. He would say, with Kabbalah? And I would say, yes, with Kabbalah. He would say, by what authority do you have over me that you should be lechof on me to take Kabbalah? And I would say, have you ever heard of Ger Toshav? And he would say, yes. And I would say, well, we're going to do it just like those guys, except we're not those guys. Unless you want to be a Ger Toshav. Do you want to be a Ger Toshav? He would say, no. I'm actually not even interested in living in Israel right now. Thanks for asking. And I would say, good, because there's no Jubilee today. And I'm not prepared to give you Kabbalah to become Ger Toshav halachically. But we're going to do it as if that was the case. In other words, I want to be lechof on you, and you take on the 7 with Kabbalah as an aspect of like what the Ger Toshav halakhic guy would do. And if you do that, then you took Kabbalah, you're Ger Toshav in every place. And we don't even need to mention the Yovel because we're not talking about a Ger Toshav Yovel. You made that very clear, and so did I. So we'll call you a Hasid. Now that you took the Kabbalah and you're keeping the 7, you're practically a Hasid, and you get the world to come. Am I clear? 1 or 2? Ubitzfanas Paneach, the rabbi who gave the Lubavitcher Rebbe smicha, Kaladash Rambam Gam B'nei Noach Mekayim Ezayim Mitzvahs Miatzvoi, Bli Kabbalah but based in Mitzvah and Allah the Chiyusai, Kloimed Mashuk Tzav Halacha, the Hilchus Hanal Siva Lechoif Kol Mi, Shalo Yekabel Yeharik, Hainu Bli Kabbalah Klal, Amal Im Kibel as a Filo Lonar Sal Yidei Zer Ger Toshav. V'kagon shehaya bli based in Oshalobas Bana Yovel, Ein Hoygin Oysa, Ve'adarabim Mitzvoyin Lachyosa, Omevoyer Medivra V'lachazoy Lilachoy, Ein Otaloya Bedin Ger Toshav V'gamoshik Sav. It's all more the same context. Upashuru Lefi Zed Ahachiyuv Kefiena Moto Dafka all based in. Lubavitcher reading the world of the Ger is talking about where you can't get the basin or time and no basin. Deina Shayach Lugabal is the Chalo Shingi Ger Toshav. In game based in mind the Chor Shemayu, the Chenu Pashtis Loshin Rambam Sheneged Achiyu Vestama Bibli, Lehiz Gir Hayoisu Kosher based. Al Bizeh Mitzvah Zois Noheges Vekayemis Bekul Takva Filu Bezmanazeh. Shame a kablan Ger Toshav. The Higam Mutelis al Ko Yachid the Yachid Shehayif Shariyos V'Yadil Aboyel Bezeh. Again, this is not pertinent to where I'm going with the shir, so pay attention, and I'm sure you recognize some of the things. The Zivada Shein Achiyu Rabba Oifen Shelakfiyah. Umemela de Bizman Shein Yadina Dakifa Shuv Niftarena Mikol Eker Achiyu L'Lachoy. He is so that mitzvah says Mash be Yadena Jacoboya Oil Yikailu. As Zion mitzvah Stagoven. Ima Yedek Fia. Ima Yedek Druchim Acheris Shelnoim Vishaloim. The Hainu Lasvira Mudabir Alibam Shiakavu Aleim the Kayam Ratzon Hashem. Shinsiva Isam mitzvahs Zelu. Kain Yira Bepashtis Kavodas of Rabba Binyanzeh. V'hinei behilchus mila sham gabe evid shalom mal kaharambam mutter lekayim obevarshik yakabel log mitzvahs stavu b'nei noiva yiyega Ger Toshav aval imo kibel alav shema mitzvahs gaharag miyad v'harayvid hasi. All right, we're going to skip this paragraph because it's discussing the slave discussion between the Ravid and the Rambam. Again, see Asuri Bia 14, 7, and 8, and 9. Which the maskana there is there's no Ger Toshav till Jubilee. And I do have a point in what I'm getting at, and I'm sticking to my point. Ve'ina Moshe Sav B'shita Sarama Meforishu B'Taisvis Yamtiv B'Peirushu La'avus Al-Maimer Sharabi Akiva Chavi Adam Sheniva B'Tzelim Beila Divra V'Bakoma Koma Marikiva Gamosha Hu Roish Ramino Avisha Hu Nemar the Bnei Noach Lo B'nai Yisrael of Adam Bratzo Rabbi Kiva L'Schus Kol Adam Afro B'nai Noach L'Maim Mullet Amar Rama B'Per Ches Milchus Malachim V'Zil Shono Siva Moshe Rabbeinu B'Pia Gavoira Zeh Derech Slula Amar Chevitz Kiva Rabbi Akiva L'Yash L'Kuba Y'Oil L'Rashon Zevenu B'Pia Moshe Rabbeinu K'Div Rama Mehim B'Kfiyas Terev Her Arig V'Avdan is Deveno Kosher Game Kfiyas Tvarim L'Amshi Libam El Ratzon Koinim V'Chafit Soirim Yizcharem L'Tvevis Hashem was that Rosh Tevis? Look there. Hai lehedi the divrei Rambam is farshim kepshutam kumeshmusam the bnei Yisrael heim ha'achrayim shebnei Noach yekayim mitzvasayim the chiyu zayin at the loy bezman o beishim mesuyimim ela the kol kol achad v'achad mechoyiv ma'asos ma shebichulasu lashpi al kubay ha'olam shekayim mitzvahs motelos aleihim. Everyone's got to do the mitzvahs, and we have a mandate as Jews to encourage the world to do their mitzvahs. Everyone's got a soul in the image of God. It was shut tashbar discuss of the filu begavna the leka yisura the lefi aver kagoin the lokai betray aver the nara amukumakom asuli sadi wenino laboro the vara isur lo shari chayuv lahafrishim ayin shan. L'choyre lo matzenu shum makor ikachiru lahafrish b'nei Noach meisur. Im lo shenemar shehu nelman mediva Rama banal da anu mechoyvim lechoyfim lekabbalas mitzvah yisayim amela pshita da asu the sayam la averleich. We cannot put a stumbling block before the blind and bring the b'nei Noach to sin. Gam b'shut chasim soifer ki da mitzvah lahoyres b'nei Noach v'odas Hashem. We should teach the Bnei Noach how to serve God. Ve'ein lezeh yisod baladi v'ramam diyaden muvanim came divrayim da'achiv l'chof Noach gam is baneinu. Even today, we have a mitzvah to l'chof. Ve'hinei b'makor halacha anal tzayim akesef mishnah. The kula talmidi the Rav amru al sheva mitzvahs Bnei Noach naharid. Behind the hard and the hurry be gibel, Harry Zegufa feel kabel. Aval Melasha Rambam, Siva Moshe Rabbeinu. Bepiha Gvoira Lechof, Bevoya the Nemar Bezetzi Voy Mefirish Messiah Shel Kfia. Sarachin Hecha Nemar Hach Sivoy. Where does the Rambam get this law that we should press the world? And that they are to be taken out if they don't do it. Guy Mashma Melosha Rambam the Bnei Noach Nahareg Allah enter the Kabbalah Levana Viloim Lovar Baboy Alzai Mitzvahs. Sorach Me'iyam Betayim the Milsa. Oh, sorry, Perush Melosha Rambam Isiduro Shachil Hilchus Anal Moshe Rabbeinu Lo Hagla Toyer Mitzvahs El Yisrael Mamshi V'Chainti Moshe Rabbeinu Mavia Gavor Lechol O Mashma Udi Hadvarin. Hida Achiyu Shalachov Mishtayich Lubo the Hemshech Lenatinas Kol Torah the Mitzvahs L'Yisrael. To be Yacharim Hanacholas Satayra B'nei Yisrael Nidan Sivoy Mamiga Vor Lechol B'Kol B'nei Oymasa Oylam Al Sheva Mitzvahs Dido. When Moshe Rabbeinu gave the Torah to Israel, it had within it the Mitzvah Lechov. Ve'ein Zeh Muvanda Ma Inyan Hazayim Mitzvahs Etzel Arsina Umabo Rambam Lishviadu B'Zeh. Where do we find the Sheva Mitzvahs in Lechof and Kabbalah from Sinai? The Yesh Shleimar, the Hine Vavodazora, Samech Dalid, Ahmed Beis, Eiza who get Toyshiv, Hoshak, Ibel Lavi, Negim Chaverim, Shalom, but was calling the Rebbe Meir. Bifachami, Mami, Koshak, Ibel Lav, Sheva Mitzvahs, Shia Kago, Leim, and Noach, for Tais Visham, Hikshubash, Beshitis Rambam, Nisagi, Kabbalah, the Shalom, Avodazora, Shia get Toyshiv. The Hayoshmitz Voylach Yuso Ika, the Hemshek Sugya. The Hari Im Avar al Shar Mitzvahs who are Den Chayiv Misa. And Jack, I'm sure you understand what I just said, right? The Chayiv Misa. The Kulzman, Teretz, the Kulzman Shalot Danuhu Beis Din Adayan Lodis Chayiv. All the while there's no base din, we cannot execute for these laws. Amnam Bitzfanas Banael Hilkos Milo, Shamil Lashon no Rambam, Oshitas Rambam, Chayev Misa Mamela Lo Boye Gmardin, Bishachain, Mashma Perish Rashi, and Ibamas Davar 47, Sorach Ion Eich Yid Parish, Lashidasam, the Vermeer, the Nasa Yid Hosher, Gobos Isra Akum Lavad, the Hine Rambam Harib Zakam, Hilkos Malachim, the Gimakama, Duchte, the Chachamim, the Boye Gabal is cool as Zion Mitzvahs. Elo Shabbat Hilchos is very biyam and nasach halacha ba'oifen b'yuchad. The zil shano izeh hu ger toishiv zeh akum shekiva olav shalola avodas koy kavim o mazaylas im shara mitzvah stavu b'nei Noach. Hari shechalek hakabola shaloya avo koy kavim o mazaylas o meprat b'fnei artzmai o mashmin hakabolas isra avodas zora shoyin nefradis There are two levels of Kabbalah. Rejecting shituf is the first Kabbalah, and the second Kabbalah is accepting the 7 laws of Noach. And that was the Sinai type of 2 types of Kabbalah, type 1. V'nira b'zeh v'hektem divrei mechilta. Lo yilecha lama nemar lefisha shenemar anochi. Hava mina mashal amelech basar v'dama. Okay, we're going to skip that little mashal. It's just saying that at Sinai we took on the 2 Kabbalahs. The first Kabbalah was Kabbalahs of Ol Malchus Shemayim, accepting the yoke of heaven. So the Ger Toshav, who rejects shituf, is accepting the yoke of heaven. And the second Kabbalah is taking on the mitzvahs, the 7 mitzvahs. That's what it means, that I am Hashem, your God. You shall have no other gods. From the mouth of God we heard too, Jacques. Ki divers halalu chalukim bi'ikram miyeter divers v'shara toyre. Ki al yadam kivu b'nei Yisrael malchus shamayim. So Perek, the Rambam mitzvahs asay or mitzvahs los asay, and look in the Ramban. Right, we're going to skip the rest of that paragraph, but just saying the whole Nasav and Ishma, from the mouth of God we heard 2, the 2 Kabbalahs, the 2 first 2 mitzvahs or commandments of the 10 commandments. And Jacques, that's right up your alley. And by Ger Toshav, there are 2 different Kabbalahs. Kabbalahs HaMalchus, who Kabbalah Shalo Yavod Barzara, who Kabbalah Gezeris, the Hainu Shar Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. Zeu Shakain, the Ger Toshav, who Zeh Shekiba Allah Shalo Yavod Barzara, Im Shara Mitzvahs. The Hainu Kabbalahs Malchuso Shal Hashem Yizboirach V'Gezerosav. V'yesh Lo Haisi B'Zeh Al Pi Ma the Mashma Meloshim Rabbeinu Gershom increases 9a. The Ger Toshav Yesh Bo Ksat Geirus. How many of you guys are hearing the jargon come through? Is anybody not hearing the jargon come through? That's why I'm doing this style. So you're seeing it in real time, in the language, the jargon. Justin, Addo. V'chein b'miri. In Yavamas 48b. Kairei leger toishiv ger lechatzoyin. V'haina degam b'didei ika eiza chalus gerus begufo. V'hachi mashmer toiris abayis hashalem l'rashba. Shagoyres b'gamara bodazara. Sham gabi ger toishiv. The gershin is gayer kakat no adami. When it says a ger is like a newborn child, it can be ger toishiv or a ger tzedek. The Devar Pasha Hari Kasuv the Lashitis or Rambam the Shitis Hakum the Vela. Nilmad Mikra de Vikralacha Vachalta Mizbachil. Im K. Lo Nismaya Rak Hakum Asha'in King Gertoisha. A Goy's Shchita is the Vela, which is not to say Ger Toshav, since he is not considered of the nations. Hari the Ika Bay, Chalus Geris, Hamafkio Meklau Amin. The Gior of Ger Toshav takes you out for being a goy. Umashum Hachi Shapir Lamidin Geris, the Ger Toshav, Megirus, which shall Ger Tzedek, Megirus, which shall Klal Yisrael, Yeis Matan Torah. So the Gior of Ger Toshav is a type of Gior like Ger Tzedek and like the Gior at Sinai. Shagam Utzari Lebeis Kabbalahs. The Ger Toshav reads 2 Kabbalahs. Malchus and Gezeris. Gezeris are the decrees of the mitzvahs. Val Pizeh, Yeshlamar de Zeu, Gam Yisoy, Pluga, some Rabbi Meir, Chachamim, Dula Rabbi Meir, Iker, Chalus, Shem, Ger Toshav, Taloi Rabbi, Kabos, Malchus, Shemayim, the Im Ki. Vadai, Surich, Lekayim, Kol Azayim, mitzvahs, below Im Hachi, who are Dina Harig, Akuba, Go Chalus, Gerus, who are Yudeka, Mosa, Malvas, Levat. Mashin came, Mashinas Chachamim, Lo Nasa Ger Toshav, Ashkibel Yachad, Ima Malchus, Ima Gama Gezeris. Venira de Rama Haisiv Od. How many pages do we have left here? We actually got a lot of pages left here. This might be a 2-class thing. Near the Rambam, Hoyisif O the Gamin Nagil, Kuba Oilam Sheina, Roisim Leo Ger Toshavim. So here we're gonna. I think we'll stop after this little bit, and then we'll finish next time. But this is the point. We can actually this point is the whole point. Ready? Remember what we said. The Rambam said Ger Toshav, and if you say like Chad Blumenstiel, then it is Ger Toshav Jubilee. You are not a Ger Toshav. You shouldn't do proper Kabbalah. You should only fulfill the mitzvahs, which means you're still basically a level of goy, which then they fabricate by saying that you're commanded to doing, and you get olam haba, which is a fake shituf. But the Rambam mentioning Ger Toshav, he may mean Yovel. In that case, it just complicates things. But how do we know it doesn't mean Yovel? Number one, everyone that learns the Sugya says that is not the Yovel Ger Toshav. So when you take Kabbalah from Malchus Shemayim and your mitzvahs, which is the same platform as the Ger Toshav, it says that you are Ger Toshav in every place. But it is different than saying that you want to be of Gerim Toshavim. Do you understand that? You are not entering the stage to say, I want to be one of them, of the Ger Toshavs. You are not doing that. By not doing that, that shows that this Ger Toshav is a different Ger Toshav. All the Ger Toshav here is implying is that you're going through the stages like a Ger Toshav, which means two kinds of Kabbalah, Kabbalah Malchus Shemayim and Kabbalah mitzvahs. The difference would be you don't take Kabbalah, rather you pledge to fulfill the laws. So there's a level of a lesser kfiyah called I am fulfilling the 7 laws. And there's a higher kfiyah, lachof, where we say, hey, I can get you to press 1 if you're willing to press 1. I'm willing to tell you to press 1. If you're willing to press 1, then it's like taking Kabbalah, right? If you're willing and I'm willing, and we're not just doing Noahide stuff, then you take Kabbalah on Malchus Shemayim, you take Kabbalah mitzvahs, and that's called Ger Toshav in every place. Meaning you've done the requirement of Ger Toshav, but you do not desire to be Ger Toshav. So the Rambam says that's called Chasidi Omos Ha'olam, and he has the world to come. The halachas of Ger Toshav never entered the discussion. Benira de Rambam hoisifod the gaman the bedogeya lakol boye oilam she'ena roisim liyagirim toshavim makom makom kiyam shmechoyev heima bekabolas hazayin mitzvahs hu adin srichim gam kabolas hamalchus shehi hayesod lekabolas gezeres vekiyumim zeu mashik sarv de koifin lekabel. What does it mean to force people to kabel? And not only to fulfill, ki kabbalah zo, perusha kabbalah samalchus. The opposite of that is killed by the regular Ger Toshavs. Ki ha'eder kabbalah, he gufa frekis ol malchus shemayim. The Kabbalah is coming to repair the action of removing the yoke of heaven. So taking on the yoke of heaven is a proper Kabbalah, and that is not called fulfilling. It is higher than that, and that is called Ger Toshav in every place. And it is not taking into account the halachas of Ger Toshav, because you have rejected that by not wanting that before it ever came to play. Thus, the Rambam never needed to say Jubilee, and the Rambam calls it the Ger Chosid. To call it Noahide is wrong, objectively wrong, because the Noahide is a goy. The Noahide is not taking proper Kabbalah. The Noahide is told he cannot take the proper Kabbalah. The Noahide is told there is no Ger Toshav level of Kabbalah. Thereby, the Noahide is a shituf idolater. He has not removed these things. And the Ger Chasid, the one with Kabbalah of Malchus Shemayim, would be a type of conversion if there was a halachic Ger Toshav. So while it's not a conversion, what he is doing is rejecting shituf and fulfilling the mitzvah of lechof that was given by the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. And when the conditions by the non-Jew to take that Kabbalah by his willing status, and the Jew to lechof him, the two of them have made the mitzvah to make gerim. Thank you for listening. Be well.